Start na, ma'am.
Yes.
So, good afternoon, ma'am. So this is my report. Chapter 3, cattle, sheep, goats, and buffalo. So these are the units na akong i-report karon, ma'am. So let's start with the unit 7, which is the ruminants. The animals, carnivore, omnivore, and herbivores. So these are the learning objective. After studying this unit, you should know what are the animal groups, what is a rumen, what makes the ruminant different, why animals chew the cud or ruminate. So who eats what? Animals are divided into 3 groups. First, the carnivores, which eat meat. For example, mga dog and lion. And second, the omnivores, which eat meat and plants. For example, ang pig. And the last is herbivores, which is eating plants. For example, mga cow and horse. So the digestive system of omnivores and carnivores is as described in Unit 3. So katong last discussion na to katong Unit 3. And in herbivores, the digestive system is very large because they eat large amounts of grass. So mga so except lang sa herbivores, ang lahi lang sila kay sila tong mga klase nga ruminants nga dagko og mga dako og kanang digestive system because nagakaon po sila og dinagko ang kaon sa mga grass. So the horse, donkey, and mule are herbivores but do not chew the cud. They are non-ruminants. And the cattle, goats, sheep, and buffalo chew the cud. They are ruminants. So dire lang nimo makita ang kanang murag dire nimo ma-determine kung non-ruminant sila or ruminant sila kay for example sa cattle, goat, ug sheep, since naga-chew sila sa cud, so matawag sila na ruminants. Then since the horse, donkey, and mule, since herbivore mo sila naga-chew og cud, so ginatawag sila nga as non-ruminants. So the rumen or the stomach. The stomach of a ruminant has 4 chambers. The first chamber is a very large and is called the rumen. The second chamber is the reticulum or the honeycomb. The third is the omasum or the book, and the fourth is the abomasum, the true stomach. The ruminant chews grass and swallows, and it goes into rumen. So kabalo naman sila taning ko no katong the four chambers sa atong stomach sa ano. So next, the rumen or stomach again. When the ruminant has finished eating, the food is brought back up and rechewed. This is called chewing the cud or rumination. If the animal stop ruminating, this is a sign of ill. So sa pasabot na rin na part kay if makita nimo ang isa ka ruminants kay naga-stop na daw og ruminating, so naanay mga signs nga murag naisakit ang isa ka ruminants. So the ruminants make a lot of gas in their stomachs and belch once every minute. Unlike people, they belch silently. If the belching stops, the stomachs will gas. We call the bloat of tympani. So kaning belch, ma'am, nalang ko'y pangutana, ma'am, kay kaning belch, ma'am, naglibog ko, ma'am, ba kay kaning belch, ma'am, mura ni siya kanang burp, kanang murag, kanang after magkaon, ma'am, ba mag-burp kanay ka, ma'am. Kaning belch na word.
Oh, not that. And belch one.
Murag burp, di ba, ma'am, no? Burp. So
kanang magtugab pud gani ta.
Gani. After, di ba? After nila magkaon, di ba, ma'am? So kanay diri na part, napasabot diri if the belching stops, the stomach fills with gas. So we call this bloat or tympani. So kung ang isa daw ka ruminants mag-stop siya og belching, then nagapasabot dira ang swell of gas, then murag dira na ata mag-start tong bloat, which is murag sakit ni siya sa ruminants.
Butod ba kang sa ato?
Ganyan. So the rumen movement. The rumen moves regularly and contracts about once every minute. By putting your fist on the left flank or in the hollow behind the ribs, you will be able to detect the construction regular. We detect the constructions. Regular constructions are sign of the good health. So, murag diri lang daw nimo i-check, ma'am. Murag diri ka ata mag-check sa kaning sample picture diri sa rumen movement. So the nails and wires in the rumen. Because ruminant eat quickly, they can swallow objects like nails and wires with their feed. This object can damage the rumen and can pass through the wall of the rumen into heart and kill the animal. So kung ikaw kanang kuan ka, kanang animal farmer ka, dapat kanang murag i-separate ganin nimo, ma'am. Kanang i-separate nimo mga gamit mo, may palayo nimo siya sa mga feeds para in kaso para safety na lang po daan sa mga animals, ma'am. Okay, basig na kay mas kung tayo isagol nimo murag kana ganang isa lang nimo kabudig ka tanang gamit, ma'am. So delikado gini nga na, ma'am. Dapat ipalahi gyud mo sa mga feeds kay basin wala ka balo na masagol dito nga mga object like mga nails or wires para sa giingon diri since ang ruminants kay dali lang gyud nila makaon or maswalo ang kanang mga object. So pwede sila tungod na ng mga disgrasya kay pwede sila mamatay, ma'am. And you should tell your community to keep nails, wires, and similar object away from the animal and pasture. So Unit 8, the bloat or tympany. Bloat occurs when too much gas is produced in the rumen. The left flank becomes distended and breathing becomes difficult. This may happen suddenly, especially when the animal is grazing on wet pasture in the morning. It may cause sudden death. So these are the learning objective. After studying this unit, you should know what is bloat or tympany, what causes bloat in the ruminant, how to prevent bloat, how to treat the animals with bloat. So what is bloat or tympany? In Unit 7, you learn that stomach of ruminant animals produces a lot of gas. The animals continually belch once each minute. To get rid of the gas, occasionally belching stop and gas builds up in the rumen to cause bloat. So sa Unit 7 na balaan na to dito tong mga mga stomach na kung asa dapit sa stomach kung asa dapit tong naga-produce og gas. So pag ang animals continuous pa siya naga-belch every minute, so to get rid of the gas, so so as the gas builds up, the left flank balloons out. The pain from this causes the animal to try to kick its belly or its stand when its back legs wide apart. It has difficulty breathing. So kaning sa sample picture diri kaning nakamark murag mao taning kung asa tong bloat, then murag kaning bloat yun siguro mo ning ang kinds of sakit sa mga ruminant para murag maglisod sila ginhawa. So the animal may be in distress for several hours, but in bad cases of bloat, the animal will be found lying on its side and death can occur in a few hours. So may tabo basta mapasagdan lang nato atong ruminant naay bloat. So matingala na lang ta ato ang ruminant kay murag nakaigda na siya na naka side view, then sabot na siguro na murag mamatay na siya taod-taod. So causes of bloat. Bloat can occur when the animal grazes on lush young pasture, particularly if the pasture is wet. Some plants, example clover, lucerne, and alfalfa, are especially dangerous in causing bloat, but any fast-growing plants can cause. So, ginapasabot dire kaning ubang plants like for example clover, lucerne, o alfalfa, isa po din siya sa mga causes aning bloat. So sabot po dire dili lang kaning nga plant clover, lucerne, ug alfalfa ang dangerous, pati pud tong kanang mga fast growing nga plant pwede po siya mga cause og kanang bloat. So sometimes ruminants kept by the household in feed such as dry bread can develop bloat. So pasabot po dire isa pud sa maka-cause og bloat ang kanang pagpakaon sa mga farmers, ang mga animal farmers kay kaning pagpakaon nila og mga dry bread. So pag magpakaon sila ning dry bread, naay chance nga maka-cause sila og naay chance para maka-develop og bloat. So preventing bloat, saon pag-prevent aning bloat. So avoid moving animals to wet pasture, especially first thing in the morning. Do not allow very hungry animals to graze a pasture. Offer dry cut grass first before turning out to graze. Keep a watch on animal at pasture. So kanay preventing sa para ma-prevent na to ang bloat kanay dapat ay dili siya kanang graze pasture mo ba na ang katong pagpakaon nila sa ay kanang ipahawa na ipakpakanon nila sa kanang kuan katong daggan na kay mga grass. Mo ba na ma'am? Graze sa pasture.
Grazing sa pasture.
Yan na. So mo na siya. Bago paggutom daw ang isa ka ruminant, dili daw siya diretso sa kanang graze sa pasture. So dapat mag-offer sa daw kauno kanang dry kanang cut grass na daan, then keep a watch on animal at pasture. Dapat bantayan nimo kanang murag obserbahan nimo siya permente. So treatment, making the animal belch is one way of treating bloat. You can do this by massaging the distended rumen through the abdominal wall, tying a stick in the mouth crosswise like a horse bit. So kaning trying a stick in the mouth katuning murag kanang makita nato sa kabayo ma'am, baka na ganing murag ginatalian sila sa bakba kanang sa bakba ganin ra pagtali ma'am. Then tickling the throat, kanang tickling nato ilang throat, then make the animal walk around for about half an hour. So murag magkuan niya po na ni murag mag-alagag iro ma'am, baka nang kailangan gyud mo siya suroy-suroy. If this method failed, then give a drench or a drink to the animal. So see drenching Annex 3. The drench used can be one of the following: 2 large spoons of washing up liquid, example Fairy or Lux, a solution of sodium bicarbonate or a cooking or baking soda and water, a small amount of kerosene or paraffin in warm milk, a small bottle of peanut, soya, and linseed oil, a very small amount of turpentine in either linseed oil, soya oil, or peanut oil, or use a commercially available medicine like, for example, R20 and Annex 1. In severe cases, the animal may not belch and it will die. In such cases, puncturing the left flank with a sharp knife of trocar and cannula to release the gas is necessary. It will be necessary for you to act quickly, as any hesitant could lead to the death of the animal. So pag buhaton nimo siya ning mga treatment, dapat wala jud hesitation kanang kuan jud diretso gyud imong trabaho, kay basin tungod sa hesitation basi katupay dahilan mao na mamatay atong ruminants. So mo ni siyang treatment. So mo ni itong kuan, mo ni example picture sa trocar, sa cannula, trocar nga naay cannula og kaning knife. So sometimes Stephanie occurs because large pieces of feed block the gullet or esophagus. If this happen, try to massage the neck to remove the blockage. So analan ng buhatan. So Unit 9, how to age sheep, goats, cattle, and buffalo. The age of animals can be determined by examining of the front teeth. You will not be able to determine the exact age, especially in older animals. So kuando pwede daw nimo ma-examine ang age sa isa ka ruminants or animals by examining sa ilang ngipon sa front teeth, mga front teeth. And so these are the learning objectives. After studying this unit, you should know how to hold animals to check the teeth, the difference between the temporary milk or the teeth and the permanent teeth, how to age sheep, goats, and cattle and buffalo. So how to hold or restrain the animals to check their teeth. So mo na siya, ningani daw at ningani ang pag-hold para ma-check nimo ilang ngipon. Pay sa ka sample picture. So temporary milk and permanent teeth. So kung temporary milk ma'am, kanang murag kanang ngipon niya ng bata pa ta ma'am. Mo na siya tong murag unang ngipon, din kung matanggal man na siya, so diha na mailisan tong permanent teeth na yun. So the young animals, like children, have temporary or milk teeth which will be replaced by a permanent teeth. Young ruminants have 20 temporary teeth. Adult ruminants have 32 permanent teeth. So these are the example of the temporary teeth or temporary milk teeth. The upper jaw is no front teeth, six back teeth. The lower jaw, 8 front teeth and 6 back teeth. Then sa permanent teeth, upper jaw, no front teeth, 12 back teeth. Lower jaw, 8 front teeth, 12 back teeth. Remember that you will not be able to determine the exact age of the animal from its teeth, but there will be a few months either way. You should develop the habit of regularly checking the teeth, not just for age, because bad or worn teeth will stop an animal eating or chewing the cud. Such an animal is of no use. So dili lang nato i-check ang teeth kay tungod mag-determine ta sa yung age. Kailangan po nato siya i-check para para pud sa healthy sa ruminants. Para pud sa health. So the age of goats and sheep. Number 1, the animal under 1 year old, no permanent teeth. 1 year old, 2 permanent teeth. 2 years old, 4 permanent teeth. 3 years old, 6 permanent teeth. 4 years old, 8 permanent teeth. And the old animal more than 4 years old. So, mo na siya example. So, sa una, under 1 age, wala pa permanent teeth. So, mga milk teeth pa lang ni tanan. Then, nanay duwa, antod, murag, kuan mo ba, nindot kay kanang, kuan siya ma'am, kanang, tawag gani? Mura siya, kanang ganing pattern, yung pagtubo mo ba, kanang 2, 4, 6, 8, ano nindot ba?
By
2, 4, 6, nai, kuan mo. So, age of cattle, murag same lang, pero as you can see, murag nagkakuan lang sa months. So, una, under 2 years old, no permanent teeth. 2 years and 3 months, 2 permanent teeth. 3 years old, 4 permanent teeth. 3 years and 6 months, 6 permanent teeth. 4 years, 8 permanent teeth, and all animal over 4 years. So, same lang Japon, pero nagkatalo lang yun sa months. And same Japon, pattern Japon, 2, 4, 6, 8 ang pagtubo. Murag dungagan og duha every aning nakabutang diri ng mga age. So age of buffalo, under 3 years old, no permanent teeth. 2 years and 6 months, no permanent teeth. 3 years and 6 months, no permanent teeth. 4 years, 6 months, 6 permanent teeth. 5 to 6 years, 8 permanent teeth, and all the animal. So maulan Japon, pattern Japon. Hindi tayo pattern. So, Unit 10. Restraining cattle and buffalo. Handling cattle and buffalo may lead to stress and injury, especially if the animal are not used to being handled and the handler is not experienced. There are different techniques on used to restrain and castro these large animals. So ang pag-handle gyud daw aning cattle og buffalo kay stress gyud siya ma'am, dili sayon ma'am din. Napoy chance nga ma-injury ka or ma-injury sila, so basing delikado jud. And there are different techniques used to restrain and cast or throw these large ruminants. So these are the learning objective. After studying this unit, you should know how to hold cattle and buffalo, how to safely use the halter or the katong murag tali sa ruminant, and how to cast, throw, or how to cast and throw the animals with ropes. So unsaon nimo pag cast sa ropes, unsaon nimo pagtali. So first, the restraining or controlling large ruminants. The crush or race is made of wood or metal. You should have one in your village or settlement. If not, you should talk to the elders of the community about making one of the help of the veterinarian. Crushes are used for large ruminants when they are vaccinated, examined, or undergo other treatments. So, how to hold animals? If you don't have a halter or nose holder, the best way to hold a large ruminant is to take a firm grip of the nostril using the thumb and forefinger of one hand while holding the horn or the ear with the other hand. So, mo na siyang best way kanay mas nindot jud kung naa jud kay katong halter niya para or nose holder para mas dali nimo sila magunitan pero kung wala pwede lang daw nimo ani nga method kaning sa sample picture gunitan nimo ilong din gunitan nimo ilang horn. So haltering large ruminants for cattle and buffalo. Animals needs to be halter trained, and this is best done when they are young so that they are accustomed to the halter. When a halter is used on an animal, talk to the animal to encourage it to move. Hold the halter no more than 20 centimeters from the animal cheek and walk close to its neck. So kung maghaltering daw kaning large ruminants, ma'am, kay dapat sa bata pa lang, ma'am, kay dapat gina-train na nimo siya, ma'am, na masanay atong halter gani, ma'am, para kung lain man gud kung dako na kay dili na magpatuo sa imo wala man gud nasanay. So dara mo na siya ang sample picture sa halter sa mga large ruminants. So nayan ni. So casting or throwing cattle and buffalo. If you do not have a crush and you want to trim the hooves of an animal, it will be necessary for you to cast or throw down the animal. So to do this, you will need a halter for the head. Tali kanay mo na siya ang halter. Then pag-halter like. So 2 people to help you. So kailangan nimo kanang tabang. Kay siyempre dako man ang ruminants, kailangan niyo yung tabang, dili na mo kay oraysa. So 10 to 12 meters of strong rope. So kailangan mo ngana. So a place where it's safe to throw the animals where the soil is soft and covered with straw. So kailangan mo place nga dapat safe jud ang animals jud while naga-cast ka og kaning halter. First halter the animals, then tie the long rope around its as shown in the illustration below. Have one person to hold the halter while the other joins you and pulls the rope. The animal will collapse onto the floor and your helper must immediately put his knee on its neck and his hand on the animal's head to prevent it from rising. And do not leave the animal down for a long time as bloat may develop. So, ningani siya ang ningani ang sample picture para sa kung mag-casting or throwing sa cattle and buffalo. Then nakabutang po dire after niyo mag-casting or throwing, nakabutang sa dire sa isa ka sentence dire, dapat dili pud siya kanang pasagdan na naka-lane lang siya kay maka-create na pud siya, maka-develop na pud siya bloat. So remember when casting animals that both the animal and people can get injured, so try to do it safely. So kung mag-casting ka animals, dapat ikaw ang kaning ruminants, pwede jud may injury while nagabuhat ani kay siyempre maka-timing kag kanang cattle nga badlungon or isog, na jud chance na may injury jud ka. So unit 11, foot or hoof care. There is an old saying, no foot, no animal. This is true as untrimmed feet lead to bad legs and the animal cannot graze properly and will lose condition. The feet should be regularly examined and trimmed. Remember to make any cuts in the direction away from your body or the hand holding the foot. So the learning objectives. After studying this unit, you should know why overgrown feet are bad. Siyempre, isag sa tuwa nga tao ta naman jud tay ingrown sa tong tail, sakit man na, so kailangan gyud nato itanggal jud. Murag same na gyapon sa baka kay magsakit pud na ilang tail kung dili na to sila murag trim man nila ang tail. Sa same pud sa mga horse, especially sa mga riders, gina-trim yun na nila kay mao yun ang gamit sa kabayo yun. So how to hold or cast animals in order for the feet to be trimmed and how much of the foot or hoof can be removed. So overgrown feet. The hoof is like your fingernail and grows continuously. Walking worse with the hoof down, but sometimes the hoof grows very quickly and becomes overgrown. In some places, where the ground is too wet, the foot can be infected and it becomes smelly and painful. This condition is called foot rot, and the animal can become lame. So, ningana ang tabo, pareha lang gud sa tuagod kung mapasak, kung dili ginato anang atiman na nato ang ingrown, di ba manay maho mayroon tail jud nya magubag. So same lang na sa tail sa mga kuan Sa mga animals, kung pasagdan lang na nimo, nga may tabo manimaw niya. Di sila katarong og lakaw. Then when the animals have infected or overgrown feet, they cannot walk and graze properly. And napoy dire isa, the male cannot mount the female and is useless. So useless gid siya kung naa siya foot rot, maglisod jud sa mount sa babae. So how to hold or cast animal in order to trim the feet? You can trim the feet of sheep and goats alone or with someone to help you. Grasp the wool or hair on the chest with one hand while holding the animal on its flank with the other hand. Use your knee to push against the animal's back and force into a sitting position. The animals can be kept in this position for a long time while the feet are trimmed. So, muna siya ang method para mapadali inyong pag-trim sa especially sa kanay na method kanay para ni sa mga sheep or goats, then kanay para ni sa mga ruminants, buffalo, kay nagko. So trimming the feet, you will need any suitable sharp tool such as knife, hoof cutter, large carpenter's rasp, or sharp carpenter's pincers. Cut the overgrown claw of the hoof by carefully taking off a little at a time. Stop if bleeding occurs. Do not cut down too far, like your fingernails. That hoof has a sensitive area which it cut into will become painful and infected. Stop if the foot or sole springs back when pushed with the thumb. When you have cut the hoof down, use a rasp if you have one to file and neaten the edge of the hoof. So, nga na yung buhaton kung mag-trim ka, dili mo siya kanang palabihan kay mura lang po na sa atong tail, ang nagi sensitive na part, masakitan jud. So, masakitan po na sila. So, mo na siya mga sample picture sa mga sharp tool para sa pag-trim sa mga tiil sa If the foot is infected and wet and smelly, you should carefully remove the damaged area so that the infected area is exposed to the air. The infected area should then be painted with tincture of iodine or formalin or kaning R4 or Annex 1. Repeat the treatment every 2 days. So, siyempre kung matimingan na to, nanay ka ng foot rot ang ato ang ruminants or goats or sheep, siyempre imong i-trim lang kay katong part nga wala sa infected area, din imong himuon since na may infected, murag siguro ang ugasan na lang siguro nimo, then ikuanin mo kanang butangan nimo tambal like kanay iodine o formalin or kaning R4 or Annex 1. So remember to use whatever tools you can look and look after the animal's feet. If you regularly check the feet and keep them trim, you will not have any problems. If you have sheep and there's a lot of foot rot in your area, ask your veterinary service for advice and vaccine against foot rot. So kung tayo nanay mong ruminants or goat, kailangan yun mo sa nang regularly check yun mo permente. Pero kung tayo kay sheep, daggamay na sheep, ay ma'am, pangunta na ma'am abot sa foot rot, ma'am, magtakod-takod ba na ma'am? Pwede ba na magtakod-takod or dili? Makatakod, wala ako kakuan kaya. Ma'am, makamute ka ma'am.
So, for animals, ano kasi siya, no, usually infection man siya, no, and as long as katong nga bacteria, kasi usually bacteria man siya, musulod sa skin or sa nails, no, makatakod din siya. But if not, mostly dili kay siya mag-move, no, kasi pag bacteria dili kay na siya unless na lang mag-touch jud. So dili kayo siya makatakod actually. But then it has the possibility.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So kung niya naman may tabo, like matakdan na tanan, so kailangan na gid mo veterinary service para for advice, then siyempre napo na sila yung mga tambal like vaccine against foot rot. So unit 12, sharing and dagging or crutching. Woolly sheep naturally lose their coats in the warmer months. So before this happen, we share the sheep in order to take the wool for a variety of uses. If the wool become so dry, so kabalo man ta sa mga sheep kay mawala gyud na ilang wool basta ating init na murag maglagas na ata. So kailangan gyud nato siya i-shave or i-shear para kay pwede man nato na mabaligya pud basta hinlo lang. Then if the wool becomes dirty with dung and wet, it attracts flies which lay eggs in the wool. The eggs develop into maggots which feed on flesh of the sheep. So para ma-prevent ning mga kaning mga flies para dili sila makalay og eggs. So hinluan gyud nato permente ilang wool para kanang regularly gyud nato sila hinluan kay para maiwasan gyud ning kaning flies na chance para managgan pa na sila magpuyo sa lawas sa ka-sheep, then develop og maggots. So the learning objectives, after studying this unit, you will know why we shear sheep, what is dagging or crutching, what happens if we do not dag or shear the animal. Why do we shear sheep? Woolly sheep must be sheared at certain times of the year. If we do not shear them to the wool, or hair will be lost in patches and valuable materials will be lost. So kung naa kay sheep, kung kana imong farming mag-farm ka og woolly sheep, so kailangan gyud mo siya mag-shave jud ka jud kay para kanang nindot pud kay di man na mahalin kung imo man ang murag pasagda na di na nimo mahalin iyang wool kung murag pangit gani dili siya madawat sa mga kuan siguro mga ato kanay mga tigpalit ang mga wool. So dagging or crutching is the cutting away of dirty wet wool from around the tail and anus or crotch of the sheep. The wet dirty wool attracts flies, especially the blowflies, kaning tong bright green loka na. The flies lay their eggs on the wool, and in 1 or 2 days maggots hatch from them. The maggots burrow into the skin and feed on the flesh of the sheep. The animals will be smelly, nervous, stomping its feet and wriggling its tail. So kabalo na makita ng maggots gyud load kay na suksok gid sa skin sa mga animals bisig sa tao na ana ata wala hinlo. So maggots, na sample picture sa maggots or kanina pud ang flies. So maggots must be removed from infected sheep. Part the wool with look for the small holes where the maggots have entered the skin. Press all around the hole with your fingers and the maggots will come out. Many maggots of different sizes will emerge. Clean the wound. The Unit 73 with tincture of iodine or gentian, violet or R1 Annex 1. So ang pag-remove daw aning maggots, so after siguro nimo kung tayo nanay maggots ang isa ka sheep, so kailangan gyud nimo siya i-shear para makita gyud tong asa nagpuyo ang maggots. So mura lang kag nagpisa sa imong bugas sa imong naong pisawan na nimo. Then mo na siya, yung sample picture sa fly, sa dagging, sa shearer or dagging, then maggot, yung dirty sa pan. Then shearing. Shearing is the complete removal of the wool and is carried out using machine or hand shears. The valuable wool can then be used for clothing, carpets, and etc. Make sure that the wool is kept clean by not using too much marker paints on the animal. And if it is used, you're accustomed to wash your animals before shearing, make sure that you wash them 3 or 4 days before shearing. After shearing, keep the sacks of wool in dry and replace plastic sheets to stop them getting damp. So sa mga animal farming aning mga sheep niya nilang ginabuhat daw. So bago daw nila ginatanggalan og kanang skin or bago sila mag-shear, so kailangan daw nimo siya i-wash nimo siya mga 3 to 4 days para then itago nimo yang wool, din pwede na nimo siya mabaligya since mao na atong panggamit, mao na siyang ginagamit for clothing or carpets and etc. So if the animals is cut during sharing, treat all wounds immediately, then with tincture of iodine or gentian violet. So di mo na to maiwasan while nag-sharing ta, mali man gyud ta, like, pero dili good na yung grabe, pero masamad man jud siguro na din. Kanila nga atong i-apply, then i-treat lang nato dayon nilang tambalan lang dayon nato og kaning iodine or gentian violet. So unit 13, dehorning calves, lambs, and kids. Animals which have been dehorned are quiet and do not fight and cause injury to the others. The best time to remove the horns, disbudding, is when the animals are less than 1 week old. So dehorning daw, kailangan din mo mag-dehorn kay dapat ka ng bata pa lang gid sila, like kanay 1 week old ang nakabutan rin ang anak mo. Kailangan mga bata pa gid sila, kay since kaya pa nimo sila magunitan kung sige sila glihok, kay kung dako na sungha ka diya. So these are the learning objectives. After studying this unit, you will know why we dehorn animals, what tools we need to carry out disbudding, how to dehorn animals. Why do we remove the horns? Removing the horns from the animals means that they are less chance of its injuring other animals. So kailangan yun mo ma-dehorn para kung tayo nindot sa ma-dehorn kay para dili pud to niya delikado man gyud nila ang mga sungay. So namang good chance good na masungay nila ilang sariling kauban nila sa mga pa pwede nila ma-injury, then there is less risk of injury to people, then less po siya injury sa mga tao kay na-dehorn naman. Then an animal without horns needs less space at the feeding throats. The horns are best removed when steel buds or buttons on the animals which is less than 1 week old. This is called disbudding. The tools used to disbud animals. To dehorn an animal, you will need a dehorning iron, which can be heated by electricity or over a direct flame. The end of the iron is round and hollow, will over the butt of the horn using a hot iron, and is better than using caustic soda to remove the buds. So kakita naman yun yan, yung mga classmate na ko dari, kakita naman yan yung naka-observe ng good yan itong last educational tour. So the tools used to disbud animals, so mo siya hot iron, then ginakuan sa sungay part sa kambing. You may have an iron, but if you do not, ask a blacksmith to make one for you. To test the iron, heat it until hot and hold the end against a block of wood. A complete, even ring should be borne into the wood. You will need to test the iron each time you use it to make sure it is hot enough. So disbudding, you will need someone to help you take care with the hot iron. So kailangan mo kung mag-disbudding do ka, kailangan din mo tao kay dili mo makaya bisag 1 week old pa lang ang kambing, dili mo makaya na ikaw lang. So restrain the animal. Your helper must its head and pull the ear nearest the bud you are going to remove. Down and away from the bud. He must hold the head very still. Cut the hair away from around the bud of the horn. Test the hot iron, and when ready, put the iron over the bud and twist it around for about 10 seconds. Continue until the bud feels loose, reheating the iron if necessary, and push the bud out by pressing with the iron. So unit 14, the castration of ruminants. Castration is the destruction of removal of testicles of the male. It is carried out on the animals which are not wanted for breeding. Castrated animals are quiet or do not fight. Some countries insist on all imported animals being castrated. So ang castration muna siya nang ginatanggal niya sa mga male sa mga ruminant kay nindot po niya siya para mag-less aggressive ang ruminants. So the learning objectives, after studying this unit, you will know why we castrate animals, when we castrate animals, the way animals are controlled for castration, how to castrate with a knife, how to castrate with a Burdeeso, and how to castrate with rubber bands. why do we castrate the animals? Traditionally, farmers or animals raisers do not castrate animals, and both males and females are allowed to mix together. The result is the poor males are allowed to mate with the females, and the young stock produced are not very good. Uncastrated males also fight, so it is better to castrate the animals which are not for breeding. So kailangan yun na to siya i-castrate ang mga males na to kay para good siya for breeding, kay kung wala kaya nakabutang dire, since kung uncastrated daw ang isa ka ruminants or animals, dili siya good, dili siya best for breeding. So when do we castrate animals? The
Wait
best
lang.
time.
Wait lang, here.
Di ba ang castration
Yeah. Yeah, nabaliktad nimo. Pag dili siya for breeding, i-castrate nimo siya.
Sorry ma'am.
Kasi ang itlog kasi imuhang ginakuha so that's for breeding. So pero kung dili siya good for breeding, then therefore gina-castrate mo siya.
Ay mo din no, gitanggal ang testicle.
Yes.
Di mo din makaanak.
Nabaliktad nimo. Sige, go.
Sorry ma'am. So when do we castrate animals? The best time to castrate animals is when they are very young or a few days old. If castration is carried out, then the operation is easier and more successful, and the wounds heals gets better very quickly. So the best time daw para mag-castrate og mga ruminants, tanggalon tayo ng mga testicles, is kanang bata pa sila, kay since bata pa sila, matanggalan na sila, din ilang wound pod sa samad gikan sa pag-castrate, maayo dayon. So holding and controlling animals for castration. You will need another person to help you. It is best to put young lambs and kids on a table covered with sacks. Calves can be castrated when they are standing, but the animal must be restrained very well. So ang pag-castrate, ang paggunit sa pag-castrate sa mga goats o sheep, and ang style sa mga cattle, usay kay kanang ginabutang nila sa cattle cage. Castration with a knife or the knife. Use a very sharp knife or razor or scalpel. Check that knife, razor or scalpel is very sharp and clean. Clean the blade with a disinfectant such as alcohol, iodine, Dettol, or Gentan Violet. Use warm water and soap to wipe the scrotum and wash your hands. Cut the bottom end of the scrotum. Squeeze the testicles above the cut end of the scrotum and it will come out. Pull each testicles out as far as possible. Twist the testicular cord around several times. Cut the cord and cattle and the buffalo by scraping the knife slowly up and down. Pull to sever the cord in lambs and kids. Do not put your fingers inside the open scrotum. Put either tincture or iodine, Gentan Violet, Dettol, or antibiotic powder or R1, R5, R8, Annex 1 on the wound. So castration with the Burdeeso. The Burdeeso should be used on the young animal. They are Burdeesos. They are Burdeesos for animals of different sizes. You should always remember that Burdeeso is valuable instrument and keep it clean and oiled and do not drop it. To castrate with the Burdeeso, feel the scrotum with your hand and you will feel the two rope-like testicular cords inside. Take the Burdeeso in your right hand with your left hand. Push the cord to the side between the jaws of the Burdeeso and squeeze hard. Now take the Burdeeso in the left hand and crush the other cord. So, na-sample picture dre sa paggamit sa Burdeeso kung mag-castrate ka. So, castration with rubber rings. To castrate with rubber rings, we use a tool called an illustrator. It can only be used to castrate ruminants which are few days old. Put rubber rings around the foreteeth of illustrator and squeeze the handle. Rubber ring will be stretched open. Pass the scrotum of the animal to the ring, making sure that it goes over the two testicles. Release the illustrator and the rubber ring with will tighten over the cords. After 2 weeks, the scrotum will fall out. So yan ang kuan pag-castrate sa kung magamit ka og rubber rings. Kung magamit pa daw kaning kuan, kung kanang imong gamiton as castration, kung pag-castrate ka kaning rubber rings, dapat kanang kuan kanang bata pa ang imong i-castrate na ruminants. So unit 15, the internal.
Okay, Kier, you'll just continue next meeting. Only half of the topics kasi we are time's up already. So very good report, no, well explained. And you just continue next meeting. But so ang next reporter ready na ba?